When we heard that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was going to feature every character from the previous games along with some newcomers, we were hyped up. We were literally jumping off of walls with excitement. With a roster of more than 70 characters, we figured we might as well take a look at where each character came from and how they might fare in the upcoming game. But before we take a look at the origin of each and every character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, subscribe to TheGamer and ring that bell to join our notification squad so you never miss any of our Super Smash videos. What better way to start off the video than with all the OG characters from the original Super Smash Bros. That was released for the N64 in 1999 and started this whole craze. Mario isn't just one of the OG Super Smash Bros. Characters, but one of the OG gaming characters. He made his debut in the Donkey Kong arcade game, where he was dodging barrels and simply known as Jumpman all the way back in 1981. Mario has always been solid, but not spectacular in Smash, until Super Smash Bros. 4 that is. He got buffs to his speed, power, and reach, so we expect him to be just as dominant in Ultimate. Joining Mario from the Super Mario franchise were his trusty steed Yoshi and his tall but shy brother Luigi. Yoshi made his debut in Super Mario World and has been a mainstay in the Mushroom Kingdom ever since, even getting his own game, Yoshi's Island. Despite not having a recovery move, Yoshi had a strong start in Smash, but over time, he's gotten less and less viable. He did get buffed moving from Brawl to Super Smash Bros. 4, but he's seldom used in the competitive scene and we don't see that changing. Luigi debuted in Super Mario Bros. Back in 1983, but unlike Yoshi, he got off to a very rough start in the original Super Smash Bros., as he's regarded by many as the worst character in the game due to his awkward physics. Luckily, his fortunes changed when he got the Green Missile side special move in Melee that turned him into a decent option for the casual player moving forward. Joining the fight from the Legend of Zelda franchise is Link, the hero of time. While Link is a fan-favorite Nintendo character, he's simply not that great in Super Smash Bros. He ranks among the worst characters in each of the 4 games he's appeared in due to his lack of speed. Link is a very slow character who doesn't catch many opponents by surprise because, well, he's slower than molasses. Unlike Link, Pikachu, the lovable electric yellow mouse from the Pokemon series, has always been among the best characters in each of the Super Smash Bros. Games. In fact, he's ranked as the best character in the original. Now, Pikachu did receive some nerfs in Super Smash Bros. 4, which reduced his KO potential and he lost his throw chain grabs, but he's still a great option that's rarely used in the pro scene. Joining Pikachu from the Pokemon world is Jigglypuff, the Pokemon that looks like Kirby but definitely isn't Kirby. Jigglypuff started off very strong in the original Super Smash Bros. And Melee with her powerful rest move. But over time, she's gotten significantly weaker and was easily one of the worst characters in Super Smash Bros. 4. We hope she gets a significant buff for Ultimate, but we seriously doubt it. We mentioned Donkey Kong earlier as the ape who threw barrels at Mario all the way back in 1981, and he's also been a part of Super Smash Bros. From day one. Like many of the heavier and slower characters in Smash, Donkey Kong hasn't had it easy. He's never been higher than a C-tier character in any of the Super Smash Bros. Games because of his vulnerability to combos and his lack of a recovery move after using Spinning Kong. Samus from the Metroid franchise was also a member of the Perfect Attendance crew that has been a part of every single Super Smash Bros. Game. She's a heavy yet floaty character who didn't have many combos in the original game, but in Melee with some additional projectiles, she turned into a viable option. She then took a huge step back in Brawl by losing her instant charge shot KO, which got added back in the 4th game, but it still wasn't enough. Kirby debuted in 1992's Kirby's Dream Land, but Super Smash Bros. Has been anything but a dreamland for the floaty character. He was one of the best characters in the original, but then things changed. He was voted as the worst character in Melee because he lost his power, combo ability, and speed. Kirby improved a lot in Brawl, but he got nerfed again in the 4th game, so we don't expect much from him moving forward. We were pleasantly surprised with the Star Fox franchise when it launched in 1993, just like we were with Fox in Super Smash Bros. He's a character that has never been ranked lower than Tier C, making him viable in all the games due to his speed and recovery as well as his offensive and defensive abilities. He got nerfed a bit in the last 2 Smash games, but Fox could definitely get back on track in Ultimate. Ness was a relatively unknown character in North America when he first appeared in Super Smash Bros., leading people to believe that that's the game he debuted in, but we know he's from the Earthbound franchise. Ness has never really been a good choice in Smash due to his weak grab range and wonky recovery move. While we don't recommend him in Smash, we do recommend giving Earthbound a try. You won't regret it. Whoever said race car drivers aren't athletes clearly hasn't heard of Captain Falcon, the main character of the F-Zero franchise. Captain Falcon is very strong and fast. In fact, he's so fast he only trails Sonic the Hedgehog in terms of pure speed. speed. The only game in which Captain Falcon wasn't one of the top options was Brawl, so we expect him to Falcon punch his way to a high tier in Ultimate. Now it's time to get into all the characters who made their debut in Super Smash Bros. Melee. Seeing as there were already 3 characters from the Super Mario franchise in the original Smash, it makes sense for some other well-known characters to make their debut in Melee. Princess Peach, you know, the one Mario saved from Bowser all the time, made her debut in Super Mario Bros. And has been needing saving ever since. She was one of the best characters in Melee due to her strong attacks and counters. Despite taking a step back in recent games, she's still a great option. Bowser also first appeared in Super Mario Bros. And Super Smash Bros. Melee. While Bowser is very strong, he's also incredibly slow, which doesn't translate well at all to the world of Smash. Only recently has he become viable in the 4th game, and we hope the trend continues in Ultimate. He's a fire-breathing dragon turtle, we know we can be better! Even Dr. Mario joined in on the fun. While we love the Dr. Mario Tetris game for the NES, we have no idea why a doctor would beat people up. Isn't that the opposite of what his job is? Anyway, he was better than regular Mario in Melee due to his KO potential. He skipped Brawl but came back in Super Smash Bros. 4, where he was severely outclassed by regular Mario. It'll probably stay that way in Ultimate. The Legend of Zelda franchise got 4 new characters. Well, 3 technically in Melee. Princess Zelda, who made her debut in the original Legend of Zelda game, was finally on the Smash roster. She's slow and powerful with plenty of magical attacks. What's interesting about her character is that she's able to transform into Sheik from Ocarina of Time, who had a completely different moveset, pretty much giving you access to 2 separate characters that you could switch between at any time. Sheik has typically always been the better option because she's very fast with powerful smash attacks, so we're looking forward to seeing these 2 in Ultimate. We also got to see Ganondorf in his human form make his debut in Super Smash Bros. Melee. He was a clone of Captain Falcon in the game, but had a few differences. For starters, he was way slower and more powerful, but with less combo ability. This made him a worse option, and he's yet to find his spot in the meta as he's always near the bottom of every tier list. We hope Nintendo gives him a huge buff. We even got a new Link in Young Link from Majora's Mask. You'd think that Young Link would be worse than his older self, but that's not the case. Despite being weaker, he's much faster and more agile, making him a better fit in the Melee metagame. He skipped the next 2 Smash games, but we expect him to be worse than regular Link in Ultimate. 2 new Pokemon joined the fray in Mewtwo and Pichu. Mewtwo is one of the legendary Pokemon from Red, Blue, and Yellow, but you wouldn't know it in Melee. It has a bad combination of large height and low weight, making it easy to KO. Being slow and lacking KO options doesn't help either. It skipped Brawl and returned in Super Smash Bros. 4 with a vengeance and a strong counter move, so we expect the trend to continue. Pichu from Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal is Pikachu's baby Pokemon, and it was one of the worst options in Super Smash Bros. Melee. Pichu damages itself with its attacks and is the lightest character in the game. In fact, a lot of players actually thought the character was a joke because it was such an inferior version of Pikachu. It hasn't been in a Smash game since, and we think it'll be just as awful in Ultimate. Fox McCloud's pal, Falco Lombardi, made his debut in the original Star Fox and his Smash debut in Melee. He's been a playable character in every game since Melee and is a solid option in every game other than Super Smash Bros. 4. A lot of his moves got nerfed, giving him a terrible neutral game that really limits his character. He desperately needs a buff. An awesome new addition in Melee were the Fire Emblem characters Marth and Roy. Marth is the OG Fire Emblem character who made his debut in Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, which was released in Japan. He immediately became one of the better characters in Smash and has stayed near the top ever since. He has very long range with his sword that also has good damage and knockback with the tip of his blade. His counterpart Roy debuted in Fire Emblem The Binding Blade and hasn't fared nearly as well as Marth in Super Smash Bros. His attacks are more powerful near the hilt of the blade, which means his high damage attacks have less range than Marth's. His attacks are slower and his counter is harder to time. This all makes him a less than ideal Smash character. The Ice Climbers were a surprising addition to Melee. They debuted in the game of the same name in 1985, where you have to make your way up a mountain, and if you can't keep up with the screen, you lose a life. They worked together and were solid in Melee through wobbling, but really came into their own in Brawl with 0-to-death chain grabs. Now that chain grabs are no longer possible in Smash 4, we wonder how they'll do in Ultimate. If you didn't know who Mr. Game & Watch was before Super Smash Bros. Melee, well, he was the star of a group of handheld games that debuted in 1980. His special side move is a hammer with a randomly chosen strength and effect, which isn't very reliable. He also had weird physics, and combined with his low weight, this makes him one of the worst characters in the game. We hope he gets some more consistent moves. But enough about Melee, let's get into Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Mario's rival Wario was the only new member of the Super Mario franchise to join Brawl. He debuted in Super Mario Land 2 6 golden coins and has been a greedy treasure hoarder ever since. Wario's movements are awkward, and some of his attacks are comical, especially that fart attack. Being short, heavy, and having good airspeed made Wario a great option in Brawl, but he was a terrible choice in Super Smash Bros. 4 due to some nerfs. From The Legend of Zelda, we got to see Toon Link, the one from Wind Waker, make an appearance. He was in both Brawl and SSB 4, where he was a much better character than regular Link in both games because of his mobility, which has been a knock on him since the original Super Smash Bros. He's the best Link we've seen in Smash, and we don't think it'll change anytime soon. From the Pokemon franchise, we got two new additions, Pokemon Trainer and Lucario. Pokemon Trainer looks like your character from Fire Red and Leaf Green and is an interesting character. He was able to switch between Squirtle, Ivysaur, and Charizard at any time, but seeing as mid-battle switching wasn't allowed in SSB 4, only Charizard was used in that game. Pokemon Trainer and Charizard were both fun to use, but not good characters at all. Lucario, on the other hand, has fared much better than Pokemon Trainer. This fighting and steel Pokemon from Diamond and Pearl has done well for himself in Smash. He uses a surprising amount of aura abilities, and the more damage Lucario takes, the more damage he deals, which makes him very strong later in a stock. Combined with his ability to wall jump and wall cling, Lucario has always been a great choice for Smashers. We finally got another member of the Donkey Kong franchise in Diddy Kong, who made his debut in Donkey Kong Country. Surprisingly, Diddy Kong has been one of the best Smash characters since Brawl. He's ranked in the top 4 of both Brawl and SSB 4 due to his small size, power, and use of weaponry. You can do some good damage with Diddy Kong, and we expect him to be a top 5 option again in Ultimate. From the Metroid franchise, we got Zero Suit Samus, who made her debut in Metroid Zero Mission, which was essentially a modern remake of the first game. She had outstanding mobility, fast attack speed, and an excellent air game, which ranked her 9th among all characters in Brawl. She was kept relatively the same in SSB 4, where she was once again a top 10 option. We don't expect that to change moving forward. From the Kirby franchise, we were introduced to King Dedede and Meta Knight. King Dedede has been a part of the Kirby series from day one and got off to a good start in Brawl with his strong hammer attacks and great recovery. But it all changed in SSB 4. He lost his chain grab, which was the strongest weapon in his arsenal, and he's never been the same since. It's a real shame. Meta Knight debuted in Kirby's Adventure and has also had a hot start to his Smash career by being so overpowered in Brawl that he was banned from competitive play. He had no disadvantageous matchup and was the only character to be outright banned. He got severely nerfed in SSB 4 with slower attacks and less range, but he was still a decent choice in the game, which shows you just how OP he was in Brawl. From Star Fox, we got to see Wolf in Brawl. He debuted in the incredible Star Fox 64 and has been a thorn in Fox McCloud's side ever since. Wolf isn't an incredibly powerful character, but he has the tools to take on anyone with his great mobility and range, which makes him a good choice for casuals. Surprisingly, he sat out SSB 4, but will be back in Ultimate. Lucas was another relatively unknown character from the Earthbound series since he debuted in the game Mother 3, which was exclusive to Japan. He's a semi-clone from NES and was vulnerable to chain grabs in Brawl, which made him one of the worst characters in the game. In SSB 4, he was significantly improved since he lost his extra 10 grab frames. He was a decent choice for competitive play and should stay that way. In regard to Fire Emblem characters, we lost Roy but got Ike, who made his debut in Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. His attacks were very powerful with plenty of range, but they were slow. In fact, he was one of the slowest characters in the game and had awful recovery, which is why he wasn't ranked very highly. He did gain some more mobility in SSB 4, but it wasn't enough to make him a viable option. When Pit made his Smash debut in Brawl, only retro gamers knew where he was from. He's the main character of Kid Icarus, who was released on the NES in 1986. While Pit didn't really excel in any aspects of Smash other than his incredible recovery, he also didn't have many weaknesses. This made him a good all-around choice in both Brawl and Smash 4. If you weren't familiar with Pikmin, then you also wouldn't have recognized Captain Olimar. The quirky captain was dominant in Brawl, being ranked as the 3rd best character due to his racking capabilities, camping game, and unpredictability. Olimar got nerfed in SSB 4, only being able to carry 3 Pikmin instead of 6, which really ruined everything despite his other buffs. We hope he'll get at least 5 Pikmin for Ultimate. Rob, also known as the Robotic Operating Buddy, is an accessory for the games Stack Up and Gyromite for the NES. He has since made cameos in plenty of games and is a playable character in both Brawl and Smash 4. He has a strong zoning game, excellent recovery, and a great air game. but he's very weak for a heavyweight, which is why he's always been consistently average. He got a bit better in Smash 4, but he's still average. While Sonic the Hedgehog debuted in his self-titled game on the Sega Genesis in 1991, he had plenty of success on Nintendo systems, which led to his inclusion in Brawl. As expected, Sonic is the fastest character in Smash, which allows him to deal damage fairly effectively, but he had the worst KO potential in Brawl. Luckily, he got severely buffed for Smash 4 with more powerful attacks, making him one of the best in the game, and we think it'll stay that way. Even Snake from the Metal Gear franchise was included in Brawl, and he was a handful, that's for sure. He was the most unique character, and Snake mains found a way to really get under your skin. He was pretty much an entirely defensive character. While he was hard to master, if you did learn the way of the Snake, you had one of the best characters on your hands. He skipped SSB4, but will be back for Ultimate. Speaking of Smash 4, let's get into the characters who made their debut in the most recent game. From the Super Mario franchise, we got to play as Bowser Jr. and Rosalina and Luma. Bowser Jr. made his debut in Super Mario Sunshine, where he was convinced Princess Peach was his mom, which obviously wasn't true. He has powerful moves and a good air game, but he's very slow and one of the worst options in the game. Rosalina and Luma each made their debut in Super Mario Galaxy, where they quickly became fan favorites. She works in tandem with Luma, who could be temporarily KO'd, rendering some of Rosalina's attacks useless. But due to her impressive neutral game, she's one of the best characters in Smash 4. We expect Luma to be easier to KO in Ultimate just to balance things out a little. A new Pokemon joined the battle too. This time it was Greninja, the fully evolved water-type starter from Pokemon X and Y. Greninja is very quick and mobile, possessing consistent KO power. That being said, its moves also have tremendous lag, meaning you'll be very vulnerable if you miss attacks, which you know you will. If this lag is removed in Ultimate, we could be looking at one of the best characters in the game. Fire Emblem got a whole slew of new characters in Lucina, Robin, and Corrin. Lucina made her debut in Fire Emblem Awakening, where she was one of the three main protagonists. Lucina's shorter than Marth, but the strength of her blade is balanced throughout. While her sword is incredibly strong, she suffers from a lot of end lag in her moves like many sword fighters. She wasn't much worse than Marth in Smash 4, and she's actually going to be his Echo Fighter in Ultimate. Robin also made his or her debut in Fire Emblem Awakening and was the Avatar character. They can use tomes to cast spells and have a Levin sword. Both of these could break after repeated use and will recharge over time, which can really mess up a fight. Robin is very strong offensively, but just as weak defensively, leaving him or her weak against fast characters. Corrin made his first appearance in Fire Emblem Fates as the main protagonist and player avatar. He was a downloadable newcomer to Smash 4 and is one of the better characters in the game due to his incredible reach. Much like Marth, he also possesses a tipper, meaning that using his range will be the key to victory since he struggles up close. We know he's going to be just as powerful in Ultimate. Dark Pit is, well, the evil version of Pit who debuted in Kid Icarus Uprising. All of his moves are literally the exact same thing as Pit's, other than a few moves with very minor differences. In Ultimate, he'll be treated as a clone again, being an Echo Fighter to Pit. Palutena made her debut in the original Kid Icarus as the Goddess of Light from Angel Land, and was included in the Smash 4 roster as well. She has good mobility and is decent in the air, but possesses a poor special moveset with a lack of KO potential and vulnerability to getting KO'd. She's not a character we'd recommend using in Smash 4, but maybe she'll get buffed in Ultimate. There were a bunch of other characters making their debut in Smash 4 for their respective franchises, and we'll begin with the Villager from Animal Crossing. Debuting in Animal Crossing in 2001, the Villager is your player-controlled character in the game. He has a very good zoning game and has strong moves despite being in a lower weight class, but he still has a terrible grab and lack of KO potential. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was an NES classic, and the player character Little Mac is a born fighter, so it only makes sense for him to be in Smash 4. Little Mac is the strongest ground character in the game, capable of taking out the entire cast at low percentages with a fully charged KO uppercut, but he's the worst in the air and has a bad recovery. A little buff for Ultimate couldn't hurt. Duck Hunt is another NES classic, and the famous Duck Hunt duo consisting of a hunting dog and a duck are playable characters in Smash 4. They have a good air game and their projectiles make them talented at stage control and zoning, but their KO potential is inconsistent because of a lack of options. They need stronger moves to be more competitive in Ultimate. No one asked for the trainer from Wii Fit to be in Smash 4, but nonetheless Nonetheless, we got her. We weren't expecting much from the Wii Fit trainer, and we didn't get much, as she's one of the worst options in the game. She has some useful moves, but the startup lag and problematic hitboxes make her really difficult to trust. We don't recommend her at all. Even the famous Miis from the Wii made their way into Smash 4, and honestly, why not? The Mii fighters are currently unranked on the official tier list because, let's be honest, no one uses these guys. You could choose between the Gunner, the Brawler, and the Sword Fighter, but no matter who you choose, you'll be putting yourself at a disadvantage. Their custom moves were even banned in tournaments, so they're pretty much useless. Street Fighter is one of the best fighting games of all time, and the main character Ryu finally got his chance to shine in a fighting game that wasn't developed by Capcom. He was a downloadable newcomer to Smash 4 and came with a unique mechanic. You tap the attack button for weaker attacks and hold it for stronger attacks. Combined with his signature Hadouken, this makes him one of the better characters in SSB4, ranking just outside the top 10. Shulk is the main protagonist of the Xenoblade Chronicles, who made his Smash debut in Smash 4. He's a strong character, but very slow. You'll often have to rely on spacing to get the jump on your opponents. He can use many different Monado arts that change his attributes around, which makes him have a high learning curve that isn't really worth mastering. He's not very viable in the competitive scene. Cloud Strife, a fan-favorite character who made his debut in Final Fantasy VII, is a downloadable newcomer in Smash, and he is totally worth it. Cloud is one of the best characters in the game for a lot of reasons. His Buster Sword has crazy range, he's capable of hitting many combos, and has a solid air game. To top it all off, he's very easy to master, and we don't see it changing in Ultimate. We were all very happy when we found out that Mega Man was going to be in Smash 4. It's about time that the mascot of Capcom and the star of his self-titled series join the franchise. Due to the projectiles at his disposal, Mega Man has a good spacing game as well as some powerful finishers and a great air game. The thing is, this reliance on projectiles makes him weak against reflectors, which combined with his high learning curve make him an average character. Heck, even Pac-Man joined Smash 4. This is a character that needs no introduction, but I'm gonna do one anyway. He debuted in the Pac-Man arcade game all the way back in 1980. Pac-Man has a strong combo game, but that's about it. Some of his attacks could be turned against him rather easily, so you need to nail your combos if you want to have any success with him. He'll probably be just as weak in Ultimate. The final downloadable newcomer to Super Smash Bros. 4 that we'll talk about is Bayonetta, who stars in her own self-titled series. She's a polarizing character that many pro players wanted banned from Smash 4 because she was so OP, like Meta Knight in Brawl. Her fighting style involves a heavy use of combos, but she's specialized in chaining aerial attacks. There's a bit of startup in her ground attacks, but she's still a favorite in the pro scene. Now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. We'll be getting into all the newcomers to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We're getting two newcomers from the Super Mario franchise in Daisy and Piranha Plant. Not Waluigi, but Piranha Plant. Daisy made her debut in Super Mario Land, not to be confused with Super Mario World, and has been Luigi's love interest for quite some time now. She's gonna be an Echo Fighter of Peach, so she should be a decent fighter since Peach has always been solid in Smash. Piranha Plant is a very surprising addition to Super Smash Bros. Since many fans were expecting someone else. The plant debuted in the original Super Mario Bros., and since we know its moves already, it's fair to say that it'll have the longest melee range in the game with its stretchable neck, but will have very slow and predictable moves, being a heavyweight. We also don't expect the air game of a potted plant to be very strong. From Pokemon, we got Incineroar, the fully evolved fire-type starter from Pokemon Sun and Moon. He's gonna be a very good close-range fighter with excellent grabs and throws. The thing is, he doesn't have any projectile attacks, so he's fully dependent on close-range combat and even poses after certain attacks, leaving him vulnerable despite being able to cancel them. Another surprising introduction was King K. Rool. That's right, not King K. Rool, King K. Rool, the main villain from Donkey Kong Country. With King K. Rool, we're probably going to see the slowest and heaviest character in the game. What's interesting about him, though, is the super armor on his belly. As long as it's in good shape, his belly attacks will do more damage, but if he takes too many hits to the belly, it'll break. So you gotta play smart with King K. Rool. Again, not King K. Rool. From the Metroid franchise, we're gonna see two newcomers in Dark Samus and Ridley. Dark Samus was one of the two final bosses in Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, where it made its debut, and was the main villain of Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Dark Samus will act as an Echo fighter to regular Samus, so don't expect it to be a solid choice in Ultimate. Ridley, on the other hand, has the potential to be a very good character in Ultimate. He debuted in the original Metroid and has been a thorn in Samus' side ever since. Ridley will be a heavyweight, meaning he'll be very powerful and hard to KO while having an exceptional air game, which might be an OP combo. He should also have good recovery and range, range, which would make him a potential top 10 option. Chrom from Fire Emblem is also going to make his Smash debut in Ultimate. We first saw him in Fire Emblem Awakening, where we learned he was Lucina's father. Chrom will be an Echo Fighter to Roy, who hasn't been seen in Smash since Melee, so we really have no idea how Chrom will fare in Ultimate. We're willing to bet Roy and Chrom will still be inferior to Marth and Lucina though. Another one of the most surprising entries in Ultimate has to be Isabelle, the secretary for your player in Animal Crossing New Leaf. She doesn't strike us as a fighter, but we clearly didn't know the real Isabelle. She's going to be a defensive fighter with effective zoning and counterattacking abilities, but she's going to be lightweight, making her easy to KO at lower percentages. We don't expect much from her. The Inklings from Splatoon made an appearance in Smash 4 as an alternate costume for the Mii fighters, but in Ultimate, they're going to be their own character. Inklings are known for their ink blasters and the ability to turn into squid. Inked opponents will take more damage, and there'll be some kind of recharge time for their ink blasters. The lower their charge, the more damage they'll take, so make sure your charge is close to full at all times. We always wanted Castlevania characters in Ultimate, and we finally got it with the introduction of Simon and Richter Belmont. Simon Belmont is the protagonist of the original Castlevania, and expect all of his famous weapons and items to return in Ultimate. He'll have very good reach in his moves due to the Holy Whip, but a significant amount of startup lag, leaving him open to an attack. Richter Belmont debuted in Castlevania Rondo of Blood, a title that was exclusive to Japan for nearly 15 years before being ported to North American systems, as the main protagonist along with Maria Renard. He'll serve as an Echo Fighter to Simon in Ultimate, and he'll have the same strengths and weaknesses. Last but not least, from the Street Fighter franchise, we have the major character, Ryu's best friend and longtime rival, Ken, joining the battle in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. He's going to be an Echo Fighter to Ryu, so expect an extremely similar moveset to Ryu. Ryu was solid in Smash 4, so we expect him and Ken to be useful in Ultimate as well. And those were all of the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate characters that have been officially announced and where they came from. Are you looking forward to the game? Who do you main? Let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe to The Gamer for more Super Smash videos like this one. Thanks for watching.